Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Insane Gorilla here, and welcome back to What If Belle Was a New Species? Now, where we left off, Belle split his money halfway with Lily. And a few of you have given me pretty good ideas on what to call Belle as his adventurer name. One person said Argonaut, or Archangel. Sorry, not Argonaut, Archangel. And the other one said, and another one said, the winged warrior. So I'm going to go with the ring, winged, not ring, winged warrior. Now that's so yeah, that's it. Belle gets the name of the winged warrior. As somebody also asked to find an image of what swords I am talking about. There you go. They're the swords I'm sort of talking about. As Belle calls them, well, light, well, yin and yang, push and pull, or light and dark. Depends on your reference, what you call them as. Me, I'll just call them yin and yang, because, philosophy. Also, somebody also asked me, I'm sorry, guy, sorry, my friend, I can't remember your name, and I only just looked at your name earlier, and I completely forgot. I believe you asked me why Belle can't change his wings into a hardened state, so when people pull his wings, he doesn't feel it. I've given you the reason why. It'll take time for him to get all the kinks out and iron them, and iron all the creases as well. So basically, he's going to take time learning how to use them. And some people may be wondering why I did the way I did with, well, why I did what I did with Belle and Lily. We all know Belle in the anime is a kind-hearted person, but when it comes to his friends and going into adventures in the dungeons, he'll always try to do the right thing for them. So yeah. Moving on to the actual story now. Sorry for my little rant. As we last left off, Belle split his money halfway with Lily. He got half, she got half. As they both walk off, Lily follows Belle, talking to him, casually saying, so, which goddess or god do you worship or follow? And he says, goddess Hestia. As Lily has heard of Hestia, saying, goddess Hestia, so you're with her, familiar? Are you like her only child or something like that? As Belle says, yeah, I'm her only one. She never. Let's say this: she never got off on the right foot. Nobody would particularly follow her because a lot of people were already in familiars, and she's one of the most unluckiest gods. As Lily says, I think she's rather lucky to have already got a strong person within you. As they eventually get to the broken down church, to see that goddess Hestia isn't inside. As Belle sort of shouts, Goddess Hestia, are you here? as he even walks kind of downstairs, not finding her down there, and walking back up saying, "Oh, she's not in here." As Lily says, "I found a letter." As it says, "Gone to a banquet with the gods. Should be back momentarily." It usually does take a little while. But we also need to discuss names for our adventurers as well. So it's going to take even longer than usual. Because I have a feeling I may know what all the discussion's going to be today. So take the day off and don't go into the dungeon just yet. Wait for me to come back. As Bell says, "Okay then." As he hears a knock on the door of the church, as he walks up to the door and opens it. To see Eyes, Wallenstein, Bet, and a few of the Loki familiar members standing there. As Bell says, hey guys, what are you doing here?" As he opens up the door fully, as they all notice Lily and as Eyes says, well, as she usually does in a very soft sort of tone, because she's not much of a shouting person. And she says, "Well, we're here to try and sort out your wing problem, to try and get you to be on the ground more often. We don't need your legs giving out because you don't walk on them too much." Isabel agrees, saying, "Yeah, that could be helpful." As Bet just stands in the doorway, as everybody else tries to help him out. The Amazon twins, they tried to help him, as they sort of see yin and yang and say, "Ooh, those weapons are pretty sweet." As Bill says, "Yeah, don't bother trying to hold them. Apparently, according to Eyes and even Loki, they burn." As the Amazons say, "Yeah, we know because we've seen it. We've seen the damage that those two can do. Not to mention the swords that you summon whenever you go into some sort of state. Some sort of state you go into." As Bell gets confused, saying, "What are you two talking about?" As they say, when you were fighting the silverback gorilla, you suddenly disappeared up into the sky and then curled up into a ball as a bright source of light came out of you. Hell, even we saw it from the Loki Familiar's base of operations, and even we had to cover our eyes because it was that bright. It looked like the sun was falling on us. Although I don't think the gods will allow that to happen too easily. Anyway, it was fairly bright. And according to Eyes, your eyes were going a goldish yellowish. Well, yeah, a goldish yellowish. With streaks coming out of your eyes as you turned your head all the time. Or turned or even moved. So yeah. And plus you had glowing swords that took down the silverback gorilla with relative ease. As they both still talk to him, as Eyes and a few others try to find ways to keep his wings down so they don't force him to fly. One minute, guys. Sorry about that. Whenever I seem to be doing recording sessions, I seem to start to yawn. Yeah, might not be getting enough sleep. Oh well. Anyway, as all of them continue to try and help Bell with his wings, Goddess Hestia walks in, saying, "Oh, that was so annoying, but a lot shorter than I thought," as she sees Bell being crowded by a bunch of girls, a few boys, as they're sorting out his wings. As she says, "And what the hell are you lot doing to Bell?" As they all look at her, saying, "Sorry, Goddess Hestia, we're trying to sort out his wings, so when he so he can actually walk on the ground, not fly around the place." Because I think it's going to be very annoying for everybody to, well, A, talk to him, because they're going to have to constantly bend their necks upwards to speak to him. And I think it's going to be fairly useless for him to try and land and walk if his wings constantly keep him up in the air. This is true, although I do find the wings a very nice touch to him due to his personality. As Bell says, "Hey, my personality may be shy, but I'm not that shy." As Hestia said, "You were pretty shy when I first found you." As Bell says, "That was when you first found me. I've improved since then." As they get into a little bit of a debate, but then cutting it short. As Eyes says, "Okay, we've added quite a few weights, even them out a bit, but all strapped to your waist, so it won't damage your wings. It will hurt a little bit, but once you get used to them, you should not feel it very well, or feel them at all." As Bell starts to walk, saying, "Yeah, I can feel the weights, but as you said, I should be able to get used to them." As he continues walking around for a bit to get used to the weights, as Eyes, Hestia, and the rest of the party that she was with talk about his wings and to see what they can do whenever they're near. Well, whenever they're near him, to see if they would do anything out of the ordinary. After a few minutes pass, nothing happens. Bell starts walking around with them pretty easily and says, "I can no longer feel them. So I think I've gotten used to them pretty quick." As eventually Loki appears. As she said, thought my children, thought my familiar weren't around the place. Now I know why. So you lot, what have you been doing?" As they explain what they were doing to help Bell with. Well, to help Bell Cornell with. As Loki says, makes sense. Okay, so if he can walk now, what happens when, I don't know, if the wings get strong enough to break them? As did the dwarf guy, says it shouldn't be that easy for his wings to break. I said she noticed that a piece of string that fell, or a bit of chain that was left from the gorilla, or silverback gorilla, as it hit his wing, it shattered into pieces. But that's when he was in, well, the state with a halo and golden swords around him. His eyes brings out a chain, saying, pull this down on one of his wings. Let's see if it actually breaks it. As they all say no. We know how tough his wings are when they're in that state. But when he's not in that state, even the slightest tug from one man or woman, or hell, even child, hurts him severely. If he trains his body long enough, his wings long enough, perhaps they could get to a mild resistance where it doesn't hurt him as much. But it's best not to push our luck. Especially with the way Belle is. He's still relatively new to having wings, and he's still trying to figure out how to control them. As Hestia says, yeah, and I wish you could stop dropping feathers all over the place. I wish they'd just vanish, so we didn't have to put up with the problem anymore. Not to mention, I kind of have to clean them. And those things get everywhere. In the end, I've started making a picture out of them. As she just points to a cover, saying, yeah, that's where all the feathers are gone that I'm using. Might as well put them to good use. As Eyes removes the cover, revealing the picture, and it's actually the picture on the right. Basically, Hestia's painted all the feathers to match all that. As yeah, pretend that's Athena, just minus the wings. Just pretend it's that the picture's actually Athena but in wings. As everybody sort of says, so you're drawing goddess Athena or Athena. As she said, yeah, might as well. She is one of, well, god of battle and that, or something like that. And her and Zeus's familiars were pretty strong. As Belle sort of chuckles to himself when he hears the word of Zeus, and everybody sort of asks him what's so funny. Is he says, when he says Zeus, that's kind of sounded like my grandfather, because he always called himself Zeus around people. As everybody sort of looks at him wonkily, saying, Did he have a white beard, blue eyes, and had a habit of trying to tell bad knock-knock jokes? Isabel nods, saying, yeah, that's my grandfather in a nutshell. But he doesn't try to make bad jokes. He just tries to help people. As everybody says, yeah, that's Zeus. Your grandfather was literally Zeus. Welcome to the family of having to put up with the guy. Isabel just shrugs, saying, yeah, okay. No wonder why he sounded a bit like he knew it all a bit too much. Anyway, moving on. Belle also gets told that the gods decided on a name, his adventurer name. And adventurers usually don't get that until they're level 3. So they see that they had to kind of bend the rules a bit. You're going to be known as the Winged Warrior due to all 4 wings. You floating like a goddamn champion. As Belle looks down, saying, I hope I'm not floating again. As Hestia says, no, you're not. for once. As he says, "Oh, thank God. Thank the gods." Literally. As everybody sort of laughs, along with Belle. And Belle introduces Lily to Hestia, saying, "This is my support, adventurer support helper, Lily." And since you guys are here, I might as well tell you her story. As Belle gets to the part of what she used to do, how many times she actually tried to get away from her familiar, as he eventually says how much debt she is in, and that she's looking for a new god or goddess to, well, follow. As Hestia understands why, as it's the god who makes the very strong wine that got everybody so addicted. You know who I'm talking about. I can never pronounce its damn name. Anyway, after a few more days of Belle practicing, walking on two legs with his wings down, other people help him out as well, giving him a little test run to see if he can walk without using his wings. He slightly manages to do it, and eventually, in the end, he manages to walk on his own 2 feet without his wings constantly carrying him upwards. As eventually he doesn't need all the weights, as he can walk normally. But he keeps them around just in case. You never know when you're going to need them. And he sort of does a Goku and has him weigh his swords down so he can have stronger swings that could take down a tough enemy with a few hits and not take half a dozen. Eventually he goes back into the dungeon again with Lily, after finding some armor from Welf Crozo. And Welf gives him passes him the armor and they have their little discussion. Welf Crozo wants to make swords, but not the magic sword type, because all they do is break after one use. And that's not the life he wants to live, just using magic swords, making himself absolutely wealthy. He says it's not the life for him. He wants to live as an honest blacksmith, just making armor and possibly making a few weapons here and there, but no magic swords. That's his number one policy that he refuses to break. Even, if the situation truly needs to be resolved quickly, say like tons of monsters have broken out of the dungeon, then he'll make magic swords to hunt them down and destroy them. Ryu is, I think the elf's name is Ryu, who works with Mamma Mia. I think that's her name as well. And I can't remember if Ryu was her name or not. Yeah. As eventually Belle finally gets a strong enough sword arm, and he goes in as I said, goes into a dungeon with Lily, eventually finding the Minotaur with the red-skinned Minotaur with the sword. As Belle is still scared, but not scared enough to move, considering last time he faced the Minotaur, it broke both of his weapons, but with Yin and Yang, he knows he can kind of defeat them. As he says, "Right, ladies, time to get to work," as he calls them his ladies, because Yin and Yang. If you watch RWBY, you know who Yang is. And Yang's the one with red. The one with the red blade, because her eyes usually go red when she's pissed. Or when she's like really angry, or something like that. And Ying is just Ying as a woman. So yeah, Belle fights the Minotaur. Same thing happens where he gets punched into the wall and badly hurts his wings, so he can't fly. They're not broken, they're just very sore, and if he tries to fly, it will hurt. As they just lower to the floor, as they drag behind him. Eventually, Belle gets hooked in his arm as the Minotaur slams him to the ground, then tries to stamp on him. As he rolls out the way, and the Minotaur's foot barely misses his left upper wing as he rolls out the way. But he rolls onto his right wings, and it hurts. As he sort of yells in pain for a bit, as eventually Ice walks in front of him, saying, "Don't worry," as a flashback sort of appears of him losing it. As Ice says, "Don't worry, I've got this one." As Belle sort of does the same thing in canon. And Yin and Yang were both knocked from his hand, or from his hands, and landed a few meters in front of him. Well, in front of him, directly where Eyes was standing. Or was standing. In canon, as he gets up and says, "No, I need to face my fears." As he picks up both of the swords, says, "Yin, Yang, don't you dare falter on me now." As he sort of rushes, the same thing happens with Bet saying, "That idiot." The Eyes does say, "Just watch him, he'll be okay." As the Amazon girls, along with that man who looks like he's a kid, even though he's in his 40s. Can't remember his name. Oh. As Belle says, "Firebolt," in quick succession, as the Amazon girls say he can use magic, but it's only a 2-word spell, perfect for a person who moves quickly and effectively. As one of them says, "Yeah, but what happened to his wings? He should have been able to fly by now." As Bet says, I think I know why. Look over to the wall to the left, to the right. As they all do that, see that there's an imprint of the wings and the Belle's body. As the Amazon says, oh no, so his wings are damaged, so he can't fly. Even if he wanted to, it could cause more damage than it's worth. As I says, he can do it. Just believe in him. As eventually he decapitates um the Minotaur as it just goes poof once again. As Belle actually has the same thing happen to him again in canon, where his clothing is ripped as he goes into a mind zero state. Basically, he passed out standing up. As they all have a look at his status, as it says S on all of them. One of them even having double S, which is sort of very rare to get, but they don't know about the triple S's. As eventually eyes Wallenstein taps Belle's shoulder as he, for plot reasons, falls backwards as Eyes grabs him. And well, she just grabs him as he falls on her, as she gently moves his wings out of the way, as they put yet again another stretcher on it underneath him and carry him out. Bet taking the mix, saying, so the kid needed someone again to hold him. What a joke. He could deal with a Minotaur now, so he's faced his fears. People need to stop crowding him all the time. As the dwarf fella, can't remember his name either, punches Bet in the guts, saying, shut up, Bet. He fought bravely, and he wanted to face his fears. As Bet and everybody else still walk away with Lily, who didn't get as injured. She only got a few nips, well, few scrapes and nicks at the fight. As she stays near Belle, along with Eyes, as Liana and her sister say we'll carry him out on the stretcher this time. As they do. Getting him to the hostess of fertility, as Liana goes and gets Hestia saying, you're, well, Belle's and the hostess of fertility just resting up for a bit because he faced a Minotaur and he's in a bit of pain due to his wings. But I think you also might want to sort out his level system as well. As they both run up to the hostess of fertility, see Mamma Mia and Ryu. I think her name's Ryu. Tell me in the comments below if it is or not. I severely forget things. Sorry. As they go in, see Belle, As he was resting, his Eyes walks in. Well, Hestia walks in, see Eyes watching over him. As she says, Goddess Hestia. As she says, Eyes, help me roll him over, please. As Liana just says, I'll get his other side. Eyes, while you. I'll get his left wings while you get his right wings. And we'll turn him over that way. As the girls do that. Goddess Hestia pricks her finger, drops a bit of blood on him, as his leveling system turns up. Diana and Eyes both turn around as Hestia does her thing, stroking her finger down Belle's back afterwards, after getting a piece of paper, as his leveling system turns up. And I am going to skip a level to make it a bit more fun. Hestia is very, very confused. And she says, this is weird. Way, way too weird. As Eyes, being a level 5, this time now saying, what? What is it, Goddess Hestia? And she says, Belle has skipped a level. He's now a level 4. As Liana and Eyes are very confused on how he can do this, along with Hestia, who says, this is weird. He can't just simply skip a level. It's against the rules. As Eyes says, well, he is technically a new species, perhaps. When certain conditions meet the requirements for skipping something, for like skipping a level, perhaps that certain factor is a thing. It's very impressive how fate chooses to smile upon Belle and make him skip a level. As Liana says, all of us better keep this a secret. We can't let anybody else know that he's a level 4 now. As Hestia says, it's too late. Now that he's a level 4, I have to tell people, aka the gods and the leveling system, that Belle's now a level 4. So how do we explain this? As I says, how about we say that due to Belle's skill, fate or luck decided to roll the dice, as it said, as eventually he just skipped level 3 entirely. As Hestia says, that could work. That could work. After a few minutes of them discussing, Bill starts to wake up, saying, "You three are really loud, you know that?" As he sits up and turns himself around after he realises that he was on his front, not his back. As everybody sort of says, "How much did you hear, Belle?" As he says, "Some of it. Not all of it. Something about me skipping a level for no reason. And that was it." As they say, "Yeah, you've gone from 2 to 4. As even Bella says, shouldn't I be on level 3, not level 4? As I says, well, as Hestia says, yes, you should be on level 3. But apparently, either the gods of fate or something have played a really good hand, given you a really good hand, or someone has given you extra training, and you hit level 3 without nobody noticing, or it's just the first option. Fate just gave you a very good hand. As eventually they finish up and leave. Belle pays Mamma Mia for renting the bedroom out, saying sorry it took so long, as he carries a bag full of feathers. He says, I'll throw these out as well. As Mamma Mia says, it's alright. You've got like plenty of your feathers already in the back, due to how much your feathers were giving off literal feathers. So get out of here before you make even more of a mess. Sort of in a laughing matter, as Belle's saying I'm sorry, and leaves. Now this is where he meets Welf Crozo again, and Welf says, hey, do you mind if I join your party for a bit? As Belle says sure, as they all go into the dungeons. This was a few days after Belle had all of his rest, and his wings got back to 100%. As Welf sort of critiques Belle's wings, saying, so, the wings? Before he could even ask anything else, Belle says, if you're gonna ask what's the get up about the wings, don't. As he says, I wasn't gonna critique you about those. I would have, well, quizzed you about them the first time we met. As Welf says, just continues saying, how about I make some armor for them? So, if something hits them, it will hit the armor and not your wings. The spell says you can do, but there's some for some odd reason, if I push my body or find myself in a desperate situation, I go into a different state entirely. As he explains the Silverback gorilla situation, when he went into that certain form, as when the chains hit his wings, they completely shattered. As Welf Crozo said, huh. As he sort of pulls out a notepad and sort of quickly sketches, saying, how about you put yourself in a training regiment where you focus on trying to bring out that power. So instead of you being in a very hard situation, you can just snap your fingers and you're in a virtual god mode, basically. As Lily is also there saying, but you'll need to be like in the dungeons 24/7, 24 hours a day, just training his body, finding ways of getting to that state. As they go a bit further in, eventually get into the same level where Belle, Crozo, and Lily were, as a bunch of adventurers run past them, screaming, saying, run away, it's a dragon, as a dragon turns up. And this one is massive. It's not that dinky one that you see in the anime, where Bell just fires one shot and blows its head off. No, this one's a lot bigger. As it sort of wanders through places, sort of attacking adventurers. It attacks one person as Bell just runs in front of this individual and sort of slashes it with Ying, then hits it again with Yang. As he grabs its attention as it goes after him. Lily tries to hit it with arrows, but all her arrows just bounce off of it. Well, Krozo tries to also hit it with his weapon, but it doesn't work. As Bell shoots up into the sky with his wings and attacks it, it tries to bite Bell, but misses by a literal hair. Bell could literally feel its feel its breath as it lunged at him. That's how close it was. As Bell slices a little bit of its neck off, just a little chip of its scaling off, as the dragon sort of swooshes its head towards Bell, actually hitting him. As Lily says, Master Bell, and Krozo says, oh no, Bell. As they both try running towards him. As once again, a bright light appears, and Bell is back into that state. Again, as the dragon's not actually blinded by it this time. Not like any of the other monsters that get blinded. The dragon doesn't, because it closed its eyes. Almost like it knew what Bell was going to do before he did. As these two start going at it. Bell meeting this dragon blow for blow, eventually killing it. As it goes poof, like any other monster. This time it drops a little bit bigger stone. A bit bigger than slightly bigger than the Minotaur stone. As after a few minutes, Bell comes out of the state that he was in as he stabs Yin Yang in the ground as he takes a knee, saying that was unexpected as he breathes heavily as as Krozo and Lily run up to him, saying that was one hell of a battle, as the other adventurers sort of walk out, saying it's the winged warrior. As one of them says, yeah, it's him. Apparently he's stronger than Ys Wallenstein. They should have perhaps been called the Sword King and the Sword Queen. Jesus, those two were good. They should have just called him the Bright Warrior. Due to how bright that spot is he always has whenever he goes into that state. As his friends agree, saying, "Yeah." As they all walk up and, well, they kind of bow to him, saying, "Thank you for helping us. That dragon was way too much even for us. And dragons shouldn't even be on this level yet. Well, should not even be on this level. So not unless there's a beast event going on or something. We never expected to see this." Isabel just says it's alright, but why are you bowing to me? I'm sure you did all you could to try and fight this thing alone. As they all leave and go their own ways. As eyes, as they, as Lily, Belle, and Chrono walk out of the dungeon, they see the Loki familiar heading in, alongside the Apollo familiar. As both groups severely look like they don't like each other. As the little runt of the Apollo familiar causes causes a small fight between Belle and their vice captain. Well, their familiar still joins in a little bit of a brawl, resulting in Belle royally kicking their asses. But when it came to their vice captain, he got his shit rocked. Because they're both, well, the vice captain is technically level 3, and Belle's technically level 4. It's just that nobody really believes Belle's level 4. As Belle still takes the punishment and takes it like an absolute champion and gets left on the floor, Bet does step in like he does in canon, as everybody's kind of scared of the Loki familiar anyway, and they all just back off. The same thing happens again, but nothing truly bad comes out of it. Eventually, they get the news that Eyes has got up to level 6. As Bill's not really ashamed that he can't catch up to her. He knows he's catching up to her pretty fast. And this is when they decide that they're going to go down to the 18th floor. As they do. Obviously, hitting a few snags along the way. Lily, Wealth, and all that. Wealth having his foot be slightly dislocated. And the Minotaurs, Lily's little stink bomb, sort of not really stinking anymore. As Belle takes them all down the tunnel, bypassing a few floors, as they get to the part where they reach Goliath. At this point, both Lily and Wealth are thoroughly unconscious due to exhaustion. As Belle gets his wings out, or lets his wings out because he still had that coat on, as he just rips it off, flings it to the floor, and picks both of them up, leaving the bag behind. No, the bag got destroyed. Missed that part. And he just picked Lily and Wealth up and flies. As Goliath comes out of its little glass casing or crystal casing as it tries to crush Belle. Belle just in canon, sorry, just barely gets through. As Goliath sort of lets off its little roar like it does in canon as well, as they all three of them get down to the bottom. To the 18th floor, as Bill is not as exhausted due to all the training he's done. His stamina's up quite a bit, but he still is slightly tired, just not as tired as the other two. As Bill takes a breather, and this is where a pair of feet appear in front of him. As a hand is also lowered as well, as he takes the hand and gets up. Only to meet Eyes Wallenstein face to face. As Bill sort of says, "How are you doing?" "Hello again, Eyes Wallenstein. Eyes Wallenstein. We seriously need to stop meeting like this." As Eyes just gives off a little girly giggle and says it's you who keeps on bumping into me, not the other way around. As she says, "Let's get your two companions somewhere so they can rest up." As Bill says agreed, as he picks Wolf up and throws him over his shoulder. As Eyes picks up Lily. They both put them in the same area and just bandage up any of their wounds that they've got and just leave them to rest. Bell finds a place he can just quickly get a few Z's in as he sinks off behind a bunch of barrels and a few boxes as he just falls asleep. Nobody can really find him per se. Well, that's until Eyes Wallenstein looks behind the barrels and the boxes. Because she thought she saw some feathers fly off. Well, some feathers appear next to a few boxes. As she looks behind them to see Belle just fast asleep. And she sort of again gives off a little girly giggle as she gets a bucket of water. And sort of has a bit of fun with him, aka throwing that bucket of water over him. Ta-da! As he quite quickly wakes up. He says, "Jesus Christ, Eyes, seriously?" And she sort of again gives off a girly giggle, saying, "Sorry, but I couldn't resist." Clearly, as Belle says, "Now I'm absolutely drenched. And wet as well." As he sort of quickly flies off and gets a bucket of water himself, as Eyes is sort of trying to hold in her laughter, as he turns up with a bucket of water as well. Because Eyes had her eyes closed, she didn't notice that he flew off. As he says, "Eyes, I think you might want to turn around." As she does, as her face turns from a slight giggle Ling face to a oh shit. Anyway, bye all. Hope you all enjoy. Next time will be the Goliath battle. Hope you like, comment, and subscribe. As I said in my last video, I will be doing what ifs here and there until it comes up to near Christmas time. Then I'll be flat out stopping for a while. Anyway, as I said, like, comment, and subscribe. You'll get more when I get around to it. Bye.